Hello, everyone, and welcome to MATHurdays. My name is Teresa Wells, and I am an assistant professor at George Mason University, and I have been teaching online now for a decade. I absolutely love teaching online, but I did have a whole decade to kind of figure out the routines and activities and practices that work really well for student collaboration, engagement, interaction, and student voice. So I'm here today to share some of those with you all in a math context. In order to interact today, you're going to need access to our slides. Oops. I'm going to put those down in the chat box right now. And I'm going to continue to spam your chat box with this link as more people come in. So you only need to click it one time. You'll notice a couple things on this slide. First of all, there are ways to get in touch with me, my email address, website, Twitter handle, and YouTube channel. And new this week is a link to the book that I've written. Um, and it is called Teaching Math at a Distance. It talks a lot about rich tasks. It talks about routines. It talks about how to get more student participation in your math class. And it's available for pre-order. It'll come out in early November. Today's routine comes from a Twitter handle or Twitter hashtag that I've been following, Seed and See. And so you'll get to explore that. And our rich task is called Growing, Growing, Gone. And this task is really meant for, grades 2 through Algebra 1. Different grade levels will access it in a different way. On slide 2, I have our templates and recordings. I firmly believe that no teacher should have to start from scratch. So I've got some templates there. And if you do click on that link, you will see that there are lots for math as well as other content areas. So you'll be able to access those. And the second link takes you to the MATHurdays recordings. And this is where I keep every problem we do every single MATHurdays. It usually starts off with a routine and then a problem. So there's lots of examples in there. And that's where this one will go. If you would join me on slide 3 or 4 or 5, wherever you can get the most room, tell us, what are you celebrating? What successes are going on in your life? You are welcome to use images. You're welcome to use animated GIFs, memes, Bitmojis, whatever it is to represent you. But what are we celebrating? Someone said they got through their first full week of the school year. Who is this, and how are you teaching? And what is a tip you might give teachers?
This is Lisa Hudson, and my big tip is organize, organize, organize.
Oh, thanks for that tip. It's funny because sometimes we need to organize like what it is we're teaching, and then other times just the simple act of how are you going to label your files so that you don't, get in the 10,000 files and trying to find something. Nice tip. On slide 5, we have a little video here from Laura. Welcome back, Laura, and how's it going?
Buenos dias, Teresa. So this week I dove in and I tried breakout rooms for 2 minutes at the end of every day just to test it out, and not gonna lie, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. I have a third of my class is new arrivals, so they don't speak English, so I'm still kind of playing around how I can project something so that they have something to look at, like sentence frames, but that isn't quite working in breakout rooms. But we tried it and we did it, and yay.
Congratulations on trying it, because that is the first step here. Absolutely. Um, I look forward to hearing how your Olaf, moves on this continuum throughout the next couple weeks here. Somebody said they're celebrating completing the first 3 days of remote kindergarten, or remote learning with my kindergartner. How's it going?
It's okay. It's a little nerve-wracking with the kindergartner, but it's been going well so far.
Oh, good. Um, yeah, this is a new world we're in right now. Well, I hope that I can share some strategies that will make your lives a little easier and make it so that you can find things to implement on Monday or Tuesday, depending on your schedule, especially with this See Then See routine. So let's jump right into it. On slide 6, I have 2 links. This comes from Contemplate, then Calculate. And this link will take you to a lovely website that discusses the routine. There's even a video, and we are going to kind of look at this in a virtual setting today. The See Then See hashtag here is available on Twitter. It's pretty hot, and hope you all enjoy that. On slide 7, this is a just a little infographic because one of the things I'm learning is that when we do routines online, teachers want to have a sense of like what are the steps that I do. So I want to be very transparent. We're going to start by noticing. I'm going to show you something for 2 seconds. We're going to describe how we are counting them through the chat box. Then we're going to do a share and study where people use the microphone to share out. We also record using color and movement. And finally, we will do a reflect and connect with emojis. So, oopsies, give me just 1 minute. I realized I did not have something hidden and I wanted it hidden. Alrighty, so I am on slide 8. You can follow along in Blackboard. You don't actually have to be on the slides for this part. So if it's easier, you can go ahead and move there. I'm going to show you something for just 2 seconds. It's not going to be long. And then I'm going to ask you to write your calculation shortcut in the chat box. In other words, how did you see it so you could start to kind of calculate it? Alrighty, here we go. Okay, that was really short. What did you notice about that shape? Just put any ideas you have in the chat box. What did you notice? Those are wonderful noticings. I'm going to go ahead and reveal the image again. This is our image. And now many of us will start to subbutize or we'll start to think about these dots in another way. I'd like you to be able to put that into words. This is a challenging idea here. Other than counting them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, how did you chunk this? Try to describe in words how you chunk this in order to count them. If you're just joining us, we're putting in the chat box how we chunked this in order to calculate it. the next part of the routine, everybody is going to have a voice, but we'll have voices in different ways. So let me be explicit about the routine. I'm going to call on certain people to share out loud using the microphone. That means I want you to elaborate a little more on what you said in the chat box. Everyone else is going to reflect and connect with emojis. And I do have some specific emojis for us to use. So we're going to record this on slide 9. The specific emojis are the happy face if you feel like I agree, I understand, or you can call on me to rephrase this. The thinking face for I'm still thinking, I disagree, or I'm not sure. The mind blow if you didn't think of it that way, or that's a new way. And finally, the heart eyes if that's your favorite or you love that thinking. Alrighty, so I did want to start off here with Colette. Would you tell us a little bit more about your thinking?
Yeah, hi, Teresa. Basically, I see the 9 dots in the middle, which is a 3x3 square. And then there's, thank you for outlining it. And then I see 2 dots on the right, 2 dots on the left, and 1 dot on the top and bottom, which just made it real easy for me to count.
Oh, lovely. All right, in the chat box there, if you find that you agree with it, happy face, I am going to be looking for at least one person to rephrase that. If you're still thinking about it, the thinking face. If it's a mind blow, go ahead and put that one up. And if it's your favorite way, put the heart emojis. Go ahead and put that in the chat box now. Morgan, I see you had a smile face. Can you rephrase that for us?
Yeah, so I saw the 3x3s first, and I more so went vertically, honestly, when I saw them. And then from there, I realized in the middle that there was already 3, so I just added 1 from the top and 1 from the bottom, and that gave me 5 there, and I just added on for my 9 from there. And then I was able to visually really see the 2 dots on the outside after that, and so I added on 2 more and 2 more.
All right, so Morgan saw it a different way. I'm going to add your thinking that you typed in there again. And let's go ahead and show this visually. So you said you started with what part? And feel free to write on here or change the color of the circles to show it.
Sorry. So can you hear me?
We sure can.
Oh, sorry, technology this week. So I originally just saw this, and then I realized, oh, it's also here, and it's also here. So it was like 1 at a time. Originally, I was actually going to count dots 1 by 1, and I thought that would take a super long time. So I saw the 3, I saw the 3, and I saw the 3. And then from there, I realized it was 9. And then I was able to visually see the dots on the top and the bottom by themselves, and I added to that. And then I was visually able to see the dots on the outside.
Okay, so
and
hold
I
on.
added
You saw the 9 first, but you saw it because it was in sets of 3. Is that right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try and color code this so that we can have an understanding of that. And then once you had that, what went next?
The top dot in the middle, and then the bottom dot in the middle. And I didn't even think of them as like just adding 2. It was 1 at a time.
All right, so then those ones got added 1 at a time.
And then I could visually see the outside dot. So then it was a group of 2 next to the yellow, and then a group of 2 next to the purple.
I like how you said a group of 2, and another group of 2. All right, let's go ahead and see emojis there in the chat box. What did you all think about that? Did you see it that way? And Remy, I saw that you had a smile face. Can you rephrase Morgan's thinking for us in your own words?
She saw the 3 yellow as a 3, but then she recognized that there are 3 groups of 3. And then there's 1 on top and 1 in the bottom. And there are 2 on the left of the yellow and 2 on the left of the purple.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for rephrasing that. I thought that captured it really, really well. And you used color in that rephrasing, which was great. Our last one we're going to look at today, Laura saw it a little differently than these two. Laura, can you kind of walk us through how you were thinking about this?
Sure. So at first I tried to segment it into quarters, like a upper left quarter, the right quarter, like into 4 quarters. But then I realized that the crossbar in the middle would get counted twice because it belongs to each of those quarters. So I changed my thinking and then I just counted the mini pyramid on the top. Yes, exactly. And then the mini pyramid that's inverted on the bottom. And those are each 4. And then just the horizontal crossbar.
When you said that you saw the 4 and the 4, did you see those as 2 separate 4s, or did you see those 2 kind of coming together?
I saw them as 2 separate groups of 4.
Neat. 2 separate groups of 4. All right, folks. So this is the See Then See routine. If you are bringing us up to upper level mathematics, you might even ask them to write the expression for their thinking in the box below. And so we might have different expressions for these. 3 groups of 3 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, or 7 plus 4 plus 4. So there's a variety of expressions that you could continue this with depending on what, what your students are thinking of. Let's dive into this a little bit more. Our rich task for today is all about this pattern. On slide 11, I always like to put this up with teachers. This is why we do rich tasks. You already have way too much content to fit into one academic year, no matter how you're teaching it. But by including rich tasks, you give students access to so many mathematical goals, problem solving. They get to explore different representations, discourse, questions, conceptual understanding, productive struggle, and we always use student thinking. So you get more bang for your buck by doing rich tasks. On slide 12 is the problem solving oath. I'm going to ask if you agree with this. If you want to take the oath today, you type your name in the chat box. That's how you can pledge this oath. It says, I, Teresa, promise to try my best. I will make sense of patterns and numbers. I will use manipulatives and drawings. I will make mistakes. I will ask questions. I will listen to other ideas. I will stay engaged by always trying to find another solution or representation. I am a problem solver. I make the world a better place. I'm so excited to see how many people have pledged the oath to be a problem solver today. Our task is on slide 13. Frisbee Golf loves this pattern and wants to use frisbees to make a mural behind the check-in desk. Unfortunately, your Zoom call was dropped before they could give you more detail. The last thing they said was, just make it bigger. Your job today is to create a larger version of this design. In other words, use more circles than the ones that are there. And then answer, how many Frisbees will you need for this larger design? And describe the relationship using numbers, words, and expressions between the size and the total number of Frisbees. So each of these little dots will represent one Frisbee. You need to make a bigger design because it needs to fit on the background of their check-in desk. But they didn't give you too many details because the Zoom call was dropped. I don't know if any of you have experienced that. Each group will have their own workspace. You will find a copy of the dots and your task on the left of your slide, and you may use your slide to do anything you want. The only rule of the game is turn on your microphone, say hello right away, and enjoy it. You've pledged to make mistakes. You pledged to ask questions. So go ahead and explore that. You can turn on your microphones because our breakout rooms are starting now.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey folks, just
Hello.
letting you know you're group 4, so you'll be writing on slide 17.
Okay. Sounds
Hello, good morning from Washington.
Hi.
okay.
Zoom.
What groups? Wait. It
Hi
says
folks,
moving.
you all are group 5. Naomi and Janice, since you were just a tiny group, I went ahead and merged you with group 5 here, which means everyone will be typing on slide 18.
Okay.
Okay.
How do we know that we're on slide 18?
There is a way in this teleconferencing tool to know what group you're in the attendees tab. Mostly during these sessions, I just kind of come in and let people know what slide that they're going to be
Oh,
on.
okay. You
Yeah.
didn't have anything extra. All righty. I got to try to learn these strategies so when I'm doing them. Okay.
Yeah, and I am totally new to Zoom, so I cannot see the slides. So I've been trying to do that for a little bit.
Did you use the link? Did you click on the link that was in the chat box?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Click on the link.
249.
Hi folks, just a heads up that you're group 1, so you'll be writing on slide 14.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. That's a good. Let me see. All right. Yes, it's not locked, so I will duplicate that.
That might be a little bit easier.
All right. Oh, I missed one. Hold on, guys. Let me try again. Yep, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should take like individual ones and go around an individual. So like these are all together. Oh, so like I'm copying this one.
Mm-hmm.
Or nope, I'm not. I'm gonna undo what I just did.
My greatest fear is putting 4 little kids on one side to move things around at once.
Yeah, I know. No, I like what you're doing now. I see, because it's like you're making a bigger one, but you're using the original. So if you repeat that same step on the other side, it'll be.
That's neat. It looks like it's connected.
Yeah.
What a cool
We can also do the
design.
same thing you said, just like
Neat.
continue adding the same dots everywhere. Or we could do like a like a solid big one in the center and then the smaller original ones like around the outside, like making the same design.
I think that's what I was trying to say and do, but it wasn't coming out well. So please
Are they already grouped are they grouped when you select all of them?
If you select the whole set, yeah, you can get the exact same group that you had.
So how do you select the whole thing?
So like I make like a box around all the ones that I want
Okay.
by clicking and then dragging, and then once they're all highlighted.
Got it.
And if you accidentally get one that you don't want, like you got that one over there, you can hit Control and then just tap on the one you don't want and it disappears. Like it doesn't disappear, it leaves your box.
Oh no, I got rid of our things, our dots.
Hey folks, that's okay. Mistakes are our favorite. Just hit Control Z and it'll come
There you
back.
go. I hit the return button. It just brings them back.
Okay, let's see.
Just hit the, because I do stuff like that all the time.
I have no idea what I'm doing. How do we copy the dots and move them down? Goodness. Oh, someone's brilliant there. Okay. I'm going to try something. Let's see. What could I use?
Kids into a reading lab is they're trying to keep, we have a hybrid as well as a virtual option for families, but they don't want other adults interacting with the kids because they're trying to keep cohorts very isolated so that they know if something were to happen where the spread comes from. So at this point, our reading lab teachers don't have the green light to pull kiddos to give extra service yet.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
it's kind of a mess. Well, do we want one in the center? Do we want to make the outside one smaller? Do we want...
It's just me because I was copy pasting. Sorry.
Okay, then I think it should be 3 out on the right. I'm so sorry. Okay. So
No worries.
I thought it changed there for a minute.
Don't worry.
Okay, so 2 to 9 would be as a ratio, right? 2 to 9. And we have 9, 18, 36. So 9 times 4, so 2 times
1 more, 2 more. Huh?
That's so helpful to watch you do it to see how to not select all of them. I love that.
Yeah, so because I don't have kids yet, I've just been sitting in my office trying to turn our curriculum into virtual lessons because I did a bunch of her lessons before she stopped for her book. Like I joined a ton of these professional developments and I was like, oh my word, I can do this. And then I just sat in my office like.
And then instead of, there we go.
And then we could have 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, group.
I think.
What's this one?
This is looking so nice. What's your overall, like, your goal that you're thinking about with the pattern?
We increased the 3x3 array to be a 4x4. And then, whoops, I'm moving everything. And then we increased the outside as well.
So everything's increased by 1.
Yeah,
Each of
good
the
summation.
parts. I don't know what this triangle is then over here.
Can I place a little quote on here? Everything has increased by 1, because that is a really powerful statement. And in some cases, I think of increase by 1 as additive plus 1. And other times
Yeah,
I
well, we
think about it
did
as
every chunk.
multiplicative.
Yeah, we did it every chunk.
Oh,
Right.
so
We increased every chunk. Like the center was a chunk, and then those top parts were chunks. Except I don't know what's going on. I don't know where these triangles are coming from.
I don't see triangles.
I see triangles over here like this and like this. I don't know what these, because I thought we were doing a 4x4, and then we were adding.
I was trying. Here's, I think this is my 4x4. If I can let me adjust this shape.
Yeah, and you can make it transparent, right? I think, right.
Yeah.
Okay, but then we had, originally it was 2. It's originally.
I'm not done with my 4x4 array. Oh wait, now it looks like it's 5. I don't know what happened. You're right.
You need to add, there was your 3x3. So then you needed to add in each of these corners, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It became
right, but you need to add something over on the lower corner, on the 2 lower corners. So it's a 4x4.
But now it's a 4x5. Somehow there's a.
No, if you put the dot there and move another dot on the other side in the other corner, now that's a 4x4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just not being very friendly. I'm going to move that square again because that was not good.
Okay, so you need 4
I'm
on
moving. Oh yeah, I'm attempting to move. It's just not doing what I want it to do. It's not moving.
Okay, so you do have a 4x4 now, and then we had said that over here there should be only 1 extra dot. So this extra.
I don't know.
So at the very top, take one of the dots, one of these guys.
Yeah, something's not right with the top and bottom. What do you guys think?
Like that?
Basically just multiplying everything by 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that's what we're doing, we have the correct numbers, but I agree something looks different.
Yes. So we're trying to figure out like how we can adjust that, like the bottom pyramid and yeah.
But if we add that one on the top, then we're not following the pattern of the shape.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I wonder if we can rearrange, if it's, well, we're keeping the numbers the same, but then just play around with.
What if we just take instead of 2
hi there, group.
Hi.
I see we have kind of 2 designs going on here, and it's really neat because as someone who loves visuals, I can really see what you're thinking with your choice of color. Can you explain the red and aqua one for me?
We were just adding on to the, originally to the 3x3, and so I was trying to get the original design to pop out, so I still actually have to adjust those other ones here, because those were not part of the original 3x3.
Oh,
so,
okay. I like that popping out. And who did this multicolored one with orange and green and aqua?
So I thought about it kind of like if I rotated it like a diamond, when I was drawing it out in my notebook, it just looked like, I could have 2, the first dot is just 1, and then 2x2 square, that's kind of tilted like the diamond, and then a 3x3, and then a 4x4, and that pattern continues. But it's a lot easier for me to like kind of draw it out in my book than to copy the dots here. So that's how I was looking at it.
This is really neat because it does allow for scalability. When we can pop things out to see the original intent and then the new intent, we can use this to scale it up. So if this idea were to continue, we can start to use some more abstract pieces. So, suppose in this there were actually, 100 circles. What would that tell you about the shape and how many there would be for everything? What are some things you would know about that?
So the question is really, if I had 100 circles, how many squares could I make, kind of thing?
Oh gosh, that's an even better question. I was originally thinking like sometimes I don't want to write out 100 circles. Like that takes a long time, right? But your model makes it so that I can see like, okay, this is what it would be like if there were 100 circles in here. And so I was just kind of curious if you saw any connections to models that don't actually have every single circle drawn. And this one, the top one also with the red and the blue, I can really see that one popping out as well for, what is new and what has changed and what's different with this one. So group, try to think about how you would describe this in terms of words, numbers, and expressions.
You're around that first dot. Well, because we doubled it, my brain says you should then use the second dot because you've doubled it. So you wouldn't be using the first dot that's directly next to the group of 9. You'd be using that second dot. So if you drew that, the diamond
Like that?
around the second dot.
Yep.
That looks great.
That looks good. Yep.
Okay, so I got it. Thank you for explaining it. At first I was like, what? Now I got it. That makes sense. So I'm moving the pieces. I'm shifting.
Then I went to 3, then I went to 5. And if it was like yours, it would, like right up here, you've got your 1. I would go 3 here, and then 5 across the third dot. And then I would go to a 9 by 9, just because it keeps this little triangle thing. That's a
I don't know if this is going to let me do it.
Hi, group 4.
Hi.
This is beautiful. I'm curious as we are rolling into our whole group discussion, if you thought about how you would describe your relationship using numbers or words or mathematical expressions.
We didn't get there yet.
No, that's all right. I think that we will come across your design and the whole group. So think about like what you might say. How did this get bigger? What would your kind of rule be for making this bigger? And anyone in the group can respond to it, but I would like to showcase this one.
Can it be as simple as like we took the original design and just kind of did it 5 times? Like just, yeah.
Absolutely, it can. That's exactly what I'm looking for.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, so we made a dilation because we wanted them bigger to cover the wall, and then we duplicated it. So instead of having 1 set, we have 5 sets.
If you're watching this recording, some of the things that I'm doing right now, I moved myself into a main room by myself so that I can have a little bit of quiet as I start to sequence the order and the questions of what it is I'm going to be asking our groups to talk about. I don't choose every single one. I choose some very specific ones based on the mathematical concept that I am aiming towards, which is the idea of either multiplying by 5, or if we are, which is group 4, or if we are doing something that's more scalable, that each of these different chunks gets doubled or multiplied. And so that's what we're going to come out with. I'm going to start with group 4. I'm going to move into group 2, where they said basically multiplying everything by 4, because I wonder if that is still their thinking. I'm going to move then into group 1, and we are going to talk about scalability. So once you start to notice this chunking, how that allows you to multiply for any size. And that is our math talk that we're going to have. Let's bring them all back now. And one other thing I'm going to do is just kind of put the people's work down here in case I make more edits that I did not intend for them to make. Alrighty. Oops, and it looks like I deleted one of their little bubbles, so preserve that. All right, ready for the math talk. Welcome back, everyone, to the main room. Hello there, and welcome back. As you could see, this task was very open. Part of that is to be very deliberate about grade level. This is something that I love to give young students, even kiddos in 2nd grade. But I also like to bring it into middle school and Algebra 1. And today in the math talk, I'll show a couple reasons of why I keep something like this so open. So let's come down to slide 19. This math discussion is based off of Smith and Stein's 5 practices for orchestrating productive mathematics discussions. Ahead of time, I had anticipated several different designs, so I was ready when I was looking for those. I also thought about major misconceptions and questions that you all might have and was prepared with those. Being prepared gave me the time and energy to be able to monitor what you are doing without feeling lost and confused myself. And then I selected just a couple of the designs here. While all of them are incredibly important, I want to showcase a very specific mathematical goal, so that's why I've selected 3 of them. I've put them in a sequential order based on the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And now my job is to facilitate the discussion using your work in order to have you all make connections between it and to our big math goal. So without further ado, on slide 20, if this group, let me also project my screen in case you'd prefer just to watch on the main screen. If this group on slide 20 would just describe in words, how did you make the design bigger?
Well, we heard the word bigger, and so I automatically thought dilation. And so I decided, well, we discussed different options, but we were like, well, let's try just making the dots bigger. So we made a dilation. We made them larger than they were before, but we still wanted to add more dots. So we duplicated and moved them in different places. And then we decided to add color.
Wonderful. So if everyone else in the chat box could think about this design and respond using mathematical symbols and numbers, what math do you see happening here? So any math symbols and numbers that you see, go ahead and put that in the chat box. Colette, I love the idea that you use the word groups here to describe it because these are not lovely little rectangular arrays. They're a weird pattern. How might you use the word groups? Like, why did you choose to use the word groups?
It's just the way that I saw it. I saw it as, and I think they make it real distinctive by the fact that 4 of those groups are blue and 1 is yellow. So I just see it as 5 separate groups. I mean, I know in my mind that it's multiplication, but I'm not sure because it's not in that array format that my students would see it that way. And I have a feeling my students would just say, well, there's 15 dots and there's 5 groups of it. So I sort of try to think of how my students would see it.
Yeah. And is there a way that anyone could see? So suppose you are teaching this during a multiplication unit. Does anyone see ways of changing this so that it looks like an array and I can clearly see the 15 in a rectangular array? If you do see it, I invite you to go ahead and move the circles. This is a copy of their original work, so we're not actually messing up anything. If you see a way of moving things to make an array, go ahead and try it out. Who just did the orange one? Can you tell us a little bit about how you see this now?
I just changed it into a 3x5 array, and I meant to do it one direction and I moved it another, but now it's easy for the kids to see 15.
So chunking it to be able to turn it into either this array or the other array can let us visualize that multiplication of 5 times 15, but also that 3 times 5. Let's take a look down at slide 22. Slide 22, I was listening to this group and I heard some amazing generalizations. The first one was basically multiplying everything by 4. If you were part of this group and you remember this part of the conversation, would you tell us what your thinking was and how you might see it in your visual?
Hi, Teresa. It's Raha. So when we first started talking about it, I was trying to share with my group that I wanted to double the 9 in the middle first. So like the 9 inside, I wanted to double it. And then when we did that, I was telling Lara and the team that I didn't like that it was looking linear and not like a perfect square, so I wanted to make 4 of those instead of 2 of those, if that makes sense. And then we went with the idea of multiplying with 4.
So 4 of those, is there anyone else who understood that 4 of those and can turn on their microphone and rephrase that? The 4 of those, where do we see it?
And we also, so there's 2, okay, so there's spokes on the right, 9 center. 9 36 kind of proportionally. It's by 9 by 4. Each of the spokes would be multiplied by 4.
Okay,
So it's proportional that way then.
awesome. So if we have these 4 4s, those are proportional. Did that make any challenges for the rest of your shape in still keeping with this idea of basically multiplying everything by 4?
Oh my gosh, so many challenges. It did not work that way.
So how did it end up working? What are some things that you're seeing here?
Um, I was in this group, and when we were talking about 4x4, I think the second part, when we were trying to do the top and bottom circles and the ones on the right, because we started with the one on top and the one on bottom, we figured out if you just multiply it by 4, we'd have 4 on top and 8 on the side. But then there was an idea about the diamond shape, being a diamond shape. And I guess when I was explaining myself, I didn't explain myself clear enough. And not that, it was just my way, but the way my brain saw it is because in the first picture, we had 2 on the sides, on the right and left. And in our drawing on the top left, that black diamond was going around the first blue dot on the side. So I was seeing that as the first group of 2. So because we multiplied it by 4, I now see 2 groups of 2 and then 2 additional groups of 2. So I saw us drawing the diamond shape around that second group of 2, which would still give us that diamond shape. And I'm sure that doesn't make sense, but that's the way my brain worked.
So one thing we try to do if we're not sure if it makes sense is we have other people rephrase it for us. So I do want to ask, is there anyone who heard this and is feeling like, gosh, I could do a good job of rephrasing this? How did they see it?
This is Lisa, and I can't totally rephrase. When I look at the diamond shape, it reminds me of building squares off of the sides of right triangles, particularly off the hypotenuse of a 3, 4, and 5, where you have that 5x5 square. But if you were looking at pegs, you wouldn't have a nice, pretty square like you're used to having, if that makes sense.
I was thinking of using a geoboard to describe that. Is that what you mean by pegs?
Yes, like a geoboard would show it for you.
Oh, that would be a great virtual manipulative. I was trying to think of some good virtual manipulatives for this one, and they weren't coming to me, but that would be neat. Raha, you made a comment in the chat box. Oh, yeah. Tell us what you're thinking there.
Well, when Lisa mentioned the 3-5-4 triangle, the special triangle that we kind of like push our kids to think about all the time, that totally makes sense if you take a 3-4-5 and connect 4 of those triangles to make one. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to
just
try
like that.
And do that real quick. Okay, so we do have a little triangle here. I'm going to change the color. So you're seeing 4 of those?
Yeah, just like that. And connect them to make that original diamond shape. That I was seeing it, but I couldn't figure out how to show it. But it doesn't have to be 3, 4, 5. It could be 12, 13, 14. Just like those ratio proportions that we are used to kind of experimenting with or exploring with. That makes so much sense.
This reminds me of what Laura was mentioning at the very beginning, that some of these will intersect with the circles and double count, whereas others, the circles are inside of the shape. Laura, do you see a connection with your original thinking in the see then see the routine? And then we do have one more that I'd like to look at because I think we're getting there. There is an idea of scalability, and I'm on slide 23. If you come down here, this group really tried to use color to show the way that things are growing. And so in algebra, we constantly talk about these growing figures, but why do we have figures that are growing? In the real world, we have them because we want to take a design and we want to make it scalable. We want to make it so that it goes in the background of, this check-in office. And if it's being made out of Frisbees, we want to see what it would look like in different sizes. Take a moment and look at the two images that they have done. And can you imagine what this shape would look like if, let's say, there were 100 circles in the tilted square over here? Could you imagine how many there would be all together if you knew there were 100 there? Or could you imagine how many there were all together if you knew that there were 100 in this one? And I'd love to hear out from a couple of people, what are you thinking in terms of the scalability in mathematics? Ooh, and now there's an image of that. All right, who added the image? What does this show us? I'd love to hear your thinking there. If you did this image, what does this tell us? If anyone else sees something about this image, feel free to write it in the chat box or turn on your microphone. What do you notice now?
I just typed in, I think I see nested squares. So I see one in the middle as a square number. Then the next one from the center going out, I see 4 dots for 2 squared. And then I think I see 9 dots for 3 squared, etc. So I'm thinking I'm seeing nested square numbers or nested perfect square numbers, I think.
So now we can get in a
I
conversation.
agree with
Yeah,
Lisa.
go ahead.
But I
Sorry.
may
I
be
agree with Lisa. I think you can make this image bigger and bigger, just creating that perfect square. And then there's just that one middle dot that where it's like our center and it stays constant and the rest of it just keeps adding on. The one part that it's still like driving me nuts is the 2 dots on one on the right, extreme right, and one on the extreme left. Like, do we keep it there the whole time and we just continue to grow that square in the middle?
Those of you who teach algebra, what do we call it when we have this kind of square in the middle, but then we have these like 2 annoying dots on the side? How do we see that algebraically? What does that look like in an Algebra 1 class? Raha mentions constants. It is a constant. It's also other things too. And that would also end up being our y-intercept or our plus b if we were going to be writing this in an equation. So folks, this is the top of our hour, but I hope in this you would have seen ways that young kids could think about expanding without the idea of like, here's phase 1, here's phase 2, here's phase 3. Instead, how does it get bigger and what are the rules that you're applying? If I were to continue this with an algebra class, I would look at this idea of where the 9 dots are, there are these other dots, these little green dots that don't fall perfectly in that perfect square. So it's a nesting of a nesting with some subtraction going on, and it also does have a constant. So these are all other ideas I could pull out in an Algebra 1 class. We could continue to graph all the different sizes of these and see the way that this shape increases in terms of number of Frisbees on the graph. As a reminder, on slide 29, no teacher should have to start from scratch. I'll have these slides and all my templates available on my website. Please go there, use, reuse, and share. I also have frequently asked questions on slide 30 and a link to my book, Teaching Math at a Distance, on slide 31. I'm going to hang out for anyone who is interested to stay after with the virtual parking lot and discuss those things. But happy Mather Days. It was a pleasure working with you all, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Somebody asked, how do we get emojis in the chat box? And the chat box in Collaborate is where we were doing it. And so that's where people are writing their text, and there is a little emoji character next to it. I frequently have my students use the emojis because they already want to use them. And so I'm leveraging their excitement over emojis and giving them a purpose within the routine. My book does mention a lot of synchronous activities, but it also references hybrid models and asynchronous as well. Especially there's one about how a kindergarten teacher uses asynchronous homework and how they use counting collections at a kindergarten age with frequent check-ins with parents also. And then there's also calculus examples in there, but everything can be transferred into any grade level. I just try to use a variety of examples so that teachers feel represented and they feel like, hey, that's my grade. I know how to take this one and roll with it. Copying circles, there's a couple cool tricks you can do here. First of all, my favorite trick is so simple, but Control D is the duplicate button. So I can click on something and hit Control D, and you'll see another one of them just popped up. If you want to select multiple with Control, so I'm going to click this text box, holding Control down. Don't let go, don't let go, don't let go of Control, don't let go of Control. All right, now I let go. Watch what happens when I hit Control D now. All those things that I just selected get duplicated. And then there's also a drag select. The idea being, if you want to see on my computer, I want to get some of these text boxes. So I click, don't let go, 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 let go. And now it's clicked all these things. So if I duplicate those are the ones that have been dragged. I'll have all that available in the recording also if you want to watch it again. Is there a way to do dice and cards on a slide? Yes. It right now is not necessarily intuitive, but I have a couple videos on how to do that, and I've got some dice and some cards. Essentially, the idea to think about here is thinking like a computer programmer, that when a programmer writes code for random generation of number, it's not truly random. It's not the random that you get when you throw a dice. And so the same ideas are here. I have some decks of cards that have been stacked, quote unquote, randomly. And I have some dice that have been stacked, quote unquote, randomly, meaning that they're not truly random, but they're random enough that unless you're working in an AP stats class, it's going to work out for you. So those are available on my website, and I believe I have the video for how to do that. If not, I'll make sure it gets up today. Other people have applets. I don't have it up. I'll make sure it gets up today. Cards. There are other applets and scripts that people use. I like to follow Alice Keller on Twitter, and there's some really cool scripts. I do usually stay away from scripts, though, in my presentations because I try to remember things like firewalls that schools might have in terms of students being allowed to use scripts or not. But I'm also still learning about that. So those are the answers I have. And yes, those are on the templates page. How long does it usually take to navigate between breakout rooms in order to pop in and listen to discussions? About half a second. with mine, with the program that I use, Collaborate, there is just a little green arrow. I can see whose mic is on and off. And if I see a whole group has their mic off, that's one of my cues to just pop right in. And I literally just click a button and I'm there. Different tools have different things. I hear that Google Meets is going to have something nice and easy like that soon. So I look forward to exploring that. And I hear that Zoom is updating that so that it's easier for teachers to move. So some things to look forward to. Can you use these type of Google Slides for 100 student classes? So yes, but you should know a couple of things. Google Slides works for 150 people to edit at once. However, that doesn't mean that they're all editing at the exact same time. If I have larger class sizes of, let's say, 100 students, I will typically say on the virtual parking lot, for example, if you have a winter birthday, go ahead and type now. And then I give everyone else a job to do in the chat box. And then I'll say, okay, if you have a spring birthday, go ahead and chat and type now. If they're on different slides, like we just did here with the dots, that usually spreads it out enough that I don't typically have problems with 100 people. The times that I would have problems is, for example, slide 70 or 26. Here I'd say, you know, what grade levels could solve this problem? And I'm looking for everyone to type at once. So at more than 50 people, I typically will just say, like, if you have a spring birthday, go ahead and type now. I don't yet know about my book being available on Kindle or internationally. I'm sure I will find out the answer to that, but at the moment, it's still all new to me, so I'm not sure. In Blackboard, I did something where I could only see the chat or your presentation. I have had where it was I could see both. Okay, so this is a great topic. Right now, I'm projecting my screen on Blackboard, but I have two tabs open. I have the Google Slides tab and I have the Blackboard tab. If you're going to interact, you'll need the Google Slides open. While that might seem like a lot of back and forth for students, I have had a lot of success teaching even young kiddos how to stagger their windows. I have a video here that I'll link in for you. And this is a really important skill for us to teach kids. Just looking at the world that they're moving into. If you take a look at your cell phone right now, you probably have multiple applications open. You probably have multiple tabs open right now. And students need to know how to navigate that. So that link will give you some ideas. Someone mentioned that I'm having trouble getting them to view and edit. I would be happy to work with you on your county email to figure that out. Most of the time, you would hit the share button and you would type in all your students' email addresses, or you would use the link and give them edit access. If you're doing all those things, maybe we just need a quick little troubleshooting together. So let me know if you want to troubleshoot that. Thanks, Lydia. And I'm hoping next week we have another guest speaker. One of the things I'm trying to do in MATHurdays is bring in other people and continue to share and grow. I'm a coach by heart, so I want to make sure other people are sharing their knowledge as well. Joyce, yes, I'd be happy to troubleshoot. If you want to send me an email, what I'll do is I will find a time that works for you. We'll log in together and we'll figure that part out. It might be like no big deal. It might take us a little while. And so I've put my email address in the chat box. Let's go ahead and find a time that works for both of us. You can email me. I'm pretty much available on the weekends if I'm not doing a session. So I'd be happy to work with you on that. Remy, you asked about coaching teachers online. That was actually what my dissertation was on. So yes, I have a lot of resources on this. On my website, I also have a session that I did about coaching. Let's see. And I'm going to be doing some more with NCTM coming up. So this is the one for Math Coaching Online. And one of the things I try to showcase in this session, but I realize there's opportunity for so much more, is how as a coach, you can still coach heavy in online learning. You don't need to, just do favors and light coaching. You can build relationships through rich math routines. I like to use a routine where I, as a coach, will plan it and model it, but my teachers also have a job to do. So they're writing in the chat box every time they see student voice, or they are logging which students have participated during this time. And participation could be hands up, emojis, using the microphone, and so on. And so I do like to overload my teachers with things to do while I'm modeling it, because that brings out our rich discussion later about what are some things that we want to do in order to engage all the kids. And then there's lots of evidence. So I'll be doing more of this coming up soon. And Remy, are you in Virginia or are you in another state?
I'm in Washington State.
Oh, you're in Washington State. Are you in Olympia School District?
No, I'm a Puget Sound Educational Service District.
Okay, I was just wondering because there's a group out in Washington. Yeah, so I know I'll be presenting this at the Virginia Council of Math Supervisors, which is our coaching group. And if you want to shoot me an email, I'll make sure you get information for it. So if you want to, see the recording of that also, you can.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I don't see any other questions. If you do have them, feel free to shoot them out to me. But otherwise, happy Saturday, happy MATHurdays. It's been a pleasure, everyone.
I put my hand down. Sorry. I put my hand
Oh,
back up.
Joyce, go ahead.
Okay. When I messed up the Google the Blackboard thing, I do the side by side window as you shared, but I really messed up the Blackboard part where the chat was either there or your part was there, and I couldn't make it go back because usually I can see the chat and you and have my second window to edit on. So yeah, something happened where that little purple thing, and I couldn't expand it. So that little purple on the bottom, mine's purple.
Yeah.
Where you can open the chat, they would take up the whole screen. And even if I expanded the window and reclosed it, maybe I'll try. Hopefully it won't stay next time.
That is really peculiar. I've got to say, in all my years of doing this, that's the first time I've heard that. And I know this sounds so redundant and like everyone's sick of hearing it, but sometimes it really is true. When you close your browser window, restart, like whatever was saved that did that goes away. But happy to support you if it doesn't.
Yeah, we'll find out next week. So no worries. I was like, I just didn't want to drop out and miss anything. So I'm like, well, we'll just do it. So I appreciate that.
Well, you sound like you have an amazing mindset for learning. So that's appreciated.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I just truly appreciate you and everything you're sharing with us. Thank you.
Sure thing. All right, folks, have a good one.